Are you ready to ride? Today we're going over all the basics of horseback riding. From mounting, balance, steering, to stopping. We're gonna cover all today. Whether it's your first time or you just want a little brush up, this video's for you. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so first things first, you're gonna go ahead and prep your horse. So start by grooming. Make sure you're getting the part on their back that touches the saddle and their girth area. Then you're gonna go over with a hard brush. Don't forget to get their legs. Then you're gonna go ahead and pick their hooves. Make sure there's no stones or anything in the hoof. Accidentally toss some horsey poo at the camera person. Sorry about that. Then you're gonna go ahead and brush their mane. Don't forget to brush their forelock. That's important too. Then you're gonna go ahead, comb the hair out on their tail, tighten up your girth, make sure that saddle's not going anywhere. Then you're gonna go ahead, get your hair out of your face, put your helmet on. You're gonna also put your riding boots on, make sure they have a heel. Get your riding gloves on, bridle up.
Okay, now that we are all tacked up, you don't just hop on the horse. You have to make sure everything is safe. So you're gonna make sure you check your tack. This means checking that the nose band is tight. You wanna be able to fit like 1 to 2 fingers under the nose band area, like so that our tack stays nice and secured. If you have a snap brow band, make sure that's snapped into place. Next, you're gonna check your girth, tightening your girth. You can let your stirrups down as well. So our saddle's in the correct position on the horse. The girth is tight enough. We are ready to get on. Pick a safe place to mount your horse. This is a place that is flat, clear of debris. Pick a nice quiet spot to get on. So you're gonna go ahead and lead your horse to the mounting block just like you would with a lead line. So holding it a few inches underneath the jaw, and then holding the reins in your hand like so that it's not looped around your hand like this. Say walk on. Guide your horse over to the mounting block. Once you're at the mounting block, you're gonna ask your horse to, oh, good girl. Then you can go ahead and put the reins over your horse's head like so. And put your mounting block into position, which is right at the stirrup. I like to position it back so that it's kind of at an angle. Then you're gonna grab your reins in the left hand. Make sure they're nice and short so that if something were to happen, you have control of your horse. Get on your mounting block, put your left foot in. Use your right hand over the pommel and gently go over your horse. And you're sitting in the saddle. Gently, don't plop in. The reason you want to use a mounting block as opposed to just getting on your horse on the ground, it puts a lot of strain on their back. So when you can, use a mounting block. If you can't use a mounting block, like if you're on the trail, it's a good idea to be able to get on a horse without one, but practice with one first. When you get on your horse's saddle, you're gonna first grab the reins. Now how you hold the reins in your hand is you're gonna hold your hand like so. You're gonna put the rein through your little finger underneath these 3 fingers and have your thumb on top. It works best if you angle your hand slightly backward instead of straight up like this, just a little bit, not too far, but just a little angled so that your finger's pointing ever so slightly back. So what that looks like. Keep your little fingers on the bottom. That way the horse can't pull the reins out of your hands. And you're gonna just rest your hands on either side of your horse's neck. You don't want the reins really high up. You don't want them down here so you have a lot of slack. Just a light contact with your horse's face or mouth. Mouth if you have a bit. Face if you're using a bitless bridle like we are today. So notice how I have a little bit of slack in this rein here. It's not super tight. That's feeding them information. You want a slight slack in your rein here. Now you're gonna make sure your position is good. So that means you're looking straight ahead. Your shoulders are rounded back so that you're sitting up straight. And you're gonna wanna be able to draw a straight line from your head to your shoulder to your hip, to your heel. So a lot of times it's easy to sit in what's called chair seat, where your legs are too far forward and you're kind of leaning back. That's uncomfortable for the horse. It's unsafe, it's unbalanced. So make sure you are lined up. A lot of times you'll have to put your leg far back to get it lined up, and it's gonna feel like you're basically putting your legs all the way back, but you're not. It only feels that way when you're first starting out. So to get her to walk on, you're going to apply a little pressure. So think of it like the lower part of your leg is the gas pedal. This part of your leg, your upper part, your thigh, is your brakes. So go ahead and using your bottom half, your gas pedal, say walk on, and your horse should move off. Now how to steer once you're on, you're like, okay, now what? Pull whatever side rein you're turning to. So let's say we're turning to the left. You're gonna ever so slightly pull your rein back toward you. Whatever direction you're going away from, you're gonna engage that leg on your horse's side. So I'm going to pull my left rein toward me. That way we're turning left. And I'm gonna use my right leg, also known as your outside leg. Your inside leg is the inside of the arena. Your outside leg is the outside of the arena. You're gonna apply pressure with your outside leg so that you're pushing your horse off from the right and pulling into the left. So I'll show you what the rein looks like. So like that, good girl, good girl. Now I'll show you what it looks like with the leg. So we're gonna turn to the left. And as soon as she turns, you let off the pressure. That means you're gonna applying pressure with your lower leg, and you're gonna stop pulling. That way she knows that what she did was correct. You release as soon as you get the correct response. You're probably wondering, well, how do you stop? It's pretty simple. To stop, you're going to lean slightly back, close your fingers on the reins. You can tighten these, and that sends a signal to your horse to stop. You can also follow it with a voice command like saying, ho, or stop, or whoa. So I'll show you how to get a halt out of your horse. I'm gonna go, ho, good girl. And as soon as they give you what you want, you release the pressure. So I'll show you what it looks like to get them to walk on. And to get them to stop, I'm gonna pull back and go, ho, good girl. Now that's an exaggerated leaning back. That's just so you know what we're talking about. What you're more realistically going to do is just shift your weight in the saddle. So right now I have my seat bones plugged into the saddle, just kind of like a straight line. If you want to stop, you're just shifting your weight, and you might not even be able to really see it. But right now I'm like shifting my weight to the left seat bone, right seat bone, front and back. A lot of times you don't even have to use the rein or a voice command. You can just shift the weight in the saddle, and they can feel that and they know to stop. Saoirse just feels the subtle shift of balance toward the back, and that tells her to slow down. To go from walk to trot, we're gonna engage our gas pedal, but we're gonna be using a little more juice, just like you would in a vehicle. You would apply a little more pressure to the pedal. Trot, good girl. Bring her to a walk. To go from trot to walk, you're just going to do what's called a half halt. So a full halt is pulling back on the reins like so and releasing. A half halt is when you just squeeze the reins a little bit so you're not pulling back. Sometimes if you're trotting and you pull back, the horse will go from trot to halt. We don't want that. We want them to slow it down, kind of shift gears, go down a notch. So the half halt is a useful tool. Just a little squeeze of the rein. It's pretty subtle. You'll be able to see how subtle it is. A half halt could be as subtle as that. It could even be more subtle. It could be like that, depending on how sensitive your horse is. Good girl. Now, one thing you might want to learn is how to back up. So to back up, you're gonna pull back on the reins, apply pressure with your lower leg, shift your weight and say, back up, back up, back up. Good girl. And as soon as they've backed up as far as you want, release the pressure. I'll show you again. I'm going to pull the reins and say, back up, back up, back up. Good. Next, let's talk about whips. Why would you ride with these? There's two types of riding whip out there that are super common. This is called a riding crop or a riding bat. It's a lot shorter and it has this little leather flag on the end of it. This is useful for horses that cut corners and they lean in with their shoulder. You can give a gentle little tap. So you're not hitting your horse. You would hold it like so and use your thumb on the top here so that you can stabilize the bat. You just hold the reins like you normally would with your bat in the hand. And you're gonna want your rein loop to be inside of the reins like this. It's whacking the rein, making it move and is sending cues to your horse that you don't wanna send. So you're gonna make sure that is inside your rein. And let's say you wanted to use your bat. Say your horse is falling into the left. You're going to gently apply some pressure to the shoulder, a little gentle tapping. You're going to use the least amount of pressure needed, meaning small, tiny little taps. And you can graduate to a little bit of a heftier tap to get your horse to respond, but you're not striking your horse or hitting them with it. And this is only if needed. Some horses don't need it at all, like Saoirse. We don't use that. Another thing you might need is a dressage whip. Same position where you hold it in your hand like so. Make sure your thumb's on top. Now this is to communicate with the horse's hind end. So let's say you need your horse to move over and you don't want to use your bottom leg as much, or they're not responding to your lower leg. See where your calf normally makes contact with the horse when you're giving it a cue? You would use this to gently tap your horse to move over, for instance. Good girl. See how she's moving over? Yep. And what she just did, good girl. That's exactly what the dressage whip is supposed to do. Again, you're not whacking them with it, you're just tapping them with it. Let me show you how like flexible a dressage whip is, and it has this little bendy little piece here too, so it's not a harsh instrument. It's just something to help you ride. You don't want to rely on it, but it can be a pretty useful tool. You normally want your dressage whip or your riding crop in your inside hand, because if you're riding along the wall of the arena, your whip can hit that wall because it is sticking out ever so slightly. It can make loud noises, it can knock it out of your hand, so you're gonna want it to the inside. How do you switch when you're going from, let's say we're going left circle and we're going to switch and circle to the right? What you can do, or how I do it, I just gather my reins in my other hand and like so, and I grab it with the other hand, and then you've got your reins. Another way you can do it, kind of like a sword, like where you unsheath it, like this. But you have to make sure your horse is like comfortable with you moving about. So you can flip it over like this. And you can also, like a sword. Make sure you're looking ahead, out through your horse's ears. Human heads are actually a considerable weight. So if you're looking to the right or to the left or behind you or looking where you're not going, your horse can feel that and it can knock them off balance. So try as best as you can, looking through the ears, just like if you're driving a vehicle, you look where you want to go. Keep your thumbs on top, your little pinky slightly toward you. Make sure you can draw a straight line from your head to your shoulder, to your heel, and your hip. Straight line through here. Oh, and see, I leaned back. That tells her to stop. Good girl. Walk on. Good girl. I'll show you again what it looks like to get a horse to trot. Trot. Good girl. So let's say our reins are way too long. We need to get some better contact going so I can better communicate with the horse. You're going to, how you normally hold your reins, but you're just gonna slide it down. Same thing on the other side. So now we've got a good contact with the horse. If you want to lengthen, you just do the opposite. You can open your hands a little bit and let the reins flow through your fingers like that. Or you can more consciously inch them little by little, but try to be as subtle as you can about it, because remember, the littlest movement the horse can feel. So you want to be as straight as possible, as balanced as possible. So when you're trotting your horse, there is something called the diagonal. Now, when horses trot, they're moving in pairs. It's a 2-beat gait, so that means their right front leg and their left hind leg are moving in unison. At the same time, their left front leg and right hind leg are in unison. So as you can imagine, that's very bumpy. So instead of sitting the trot, which you certainly can do, there's a way to make it a smoother gait called a posting or rising trot. That means you're using the horse's energy when they pick their feet up and down, that you're actually moving with the horse, so that it's a much smoother gait to ride than sitting and you're like smashing into the saddle like boom, 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 boom. How to know when to rise and when to sit down. A quick little tip here. If you look at your horse's shoulder, let's say the arena wall is to my left. So if we were trotting, you would rise and fall with the leg on the wall, meaning when your horse's shoulder is going forward, you're sitting up. When your horse's shoulder comes back, you're sitting back as well. If we were trotting to the left using this arena wall, if we were going around like so, we would rise and fall with the leg on the wall. So when the horse's shoulder comes forward, that's when you would get your butt out of the saddle a little bit. And then when the horse's shoulder comes back, you would sit. And I'll show you what that looks like. Good girl. Trot. To dismount, it is relatively simple. You're just gonna lengthen your reins a little bit just so you don't pull on your horse's mouth accidentally getting off them. So I always loosen it up a little bit, not too much where they could run away, but enough where when I move, it's not gonna pull on her head. Then drop your feet out of your stirrups, grab your reins in one hand, and you're gonna lean forward and just swing your right leg over the booty. You get down like that. Then go ahead and put your arm through the reins while you up your stirrups, because you don't want these clambering and hitting her in the side. So I always go ahead and shorten my stirrups. I don't want her to be loose, so I do have my arm through here so that I have a way to control her. And then just go around to the other side and do the same thing, putting my arm through the reins, pull your stirrup out, and you're gonna put your stirrup underneath, and then you're just gonna tuck it through like so. And that is how to dismount your horse. Thank you so much for watching today's video. That is just the very, very basics of how to ride a horse from the ground up. We can graduate and do a little more advanced riding in a next video if that's something you're interested in. Let me know in the comments. Also, I think it's so interesting to learn how people started riding horses, what sparked their interest, at what time did they start to learn how to ride. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.